The moment it happened, I thought maybe I had misheard her, because no sane person could possibly say words that venomous out loud with a straight face. It was one of those blistering afternoons where the sun sat heavy on the neighborhood, the pool glimmering like salvation in the middle of the cul-de-sac. I had been floating lazily on my back, eyes half closed, feeling the cool water ease the ache from a week of 12-hour shifts. My name is Daniel Ramirez, and that pool wasn't just some shared amenity, it was mine. I'd built the patio with my own hands, saved for years to install the pool, and it was sunk into the backyard of the home I bought fair and square. Yet when I opened my eyes, there she was, Karen. She loomed at the edge like a shadow over paradise, her arms crossed against her chest, her bulk filling the space as though she had been sent from headquarters to enforce some cosmic code. "Get out!" she barked, her voice dripping disdain. "This isn't your pool. You people don't belong here." For a moment I thought maybe she was confused, that she had wandered over from the HOA clubhouse a few streets down. But then she doubled down, pointing a stubby finger at me. "Out, now. And when you're done, you can come mow my lawn. It's the least you can do if you want to live here rent-free." The water in my ears amplified my pulse until it roared. Rent-free? Mow her lawn? My entire life, I had faced prejudice in whispers, in cold shoulders, in muttered slurs I was meant to pretend I hadn't heard. But never before had someone waltzed into my yard, stood over my pool, and commanded me like a servant. I stood, water streaming from my shoulders, and met her glare with silence. Sometimes silence is sharper than any insult. But Alana, my sister visiting from San Antonio, wasn't about to stay silent. She stormed out from the patio chair, phone in hand, recording every second. "Say it again," she demanded, her voice trembling with rage. "Go on, Karen. Say it louder for the camera. Tell my brother he doesn't belong in his own pool. Tell him to mow your yard." Karen's smug grin faltered as the red light of the recording blinked. "Don't twist my words," she snapped, her voice hitching between arrogance and panic. "I'm the president of this HOA, and if I say you're trespassing, then you're trespassing." That was the first crack in her armor. Because here's the truth. I wasn't part of her HOA. My home was built decades before her subdivision even existed. I had the deeds, the maps, the signatures. Her authority stopped at the corner of her street. Yet she had grown so used to bullying others, so used to everyone bowing to her clipboard and citations, that she thought her power extended everywhere. I climbed out of the pool slowly, deliberately, every movement recorded by my sister's steady hand. I grabbed a towel, dried my face, and then walked straight past Karen into the house. She smirked, mistaking my retreat for defeat. She had no idea what was about to hit her. When I came back, I held a folder, thick and heavy. Inside were not only my property deeds but copies of cease and desist letters I had already sent the HOA months before when they tried to bill me for lake access fees. I held them up for the camera. "This is my house, my pool, my land. You have no jurisdiction here. And now the entire neighborhood is about to see you for what you are." Karen's face went pale beneath the blotchy red of her cheeks. She lunged forward, trying to snatch my sister's phone, but Alana was quicker. She stepped back, laughing bitterly. "Go ahead, try it. You'll add assault to your list of crimes." By then neighbors had gathered. Some peeked over fences, others lingered at the edge of the street. Word spreads fast when Karen's shrieks pierced the air. And in that crowd stood someone unexpected. Mr. Delgado, a quiet widower who lived 3 doors down. Normally he kept to himself, tending roses in silence, but now his voice carried like a clap of thunder. "I saw it all," he declared. She told him to mow her lawn like a hired hand. She told him he didn't belong in his own pool. Enough is enough. The crowd murmured, some nodding, some clutching their children closer. Cameras multiplied. Karen realized too late that her little power play had become a stage, and she was the villain under the spotlight. But the real twist came when Alana uploaded the video that same night. Within hours it spread like wildfire, first across the neighborhood's Facebook page, then through local news outlets, then onto national feeds where hashtags screamed "Pull Karen" and "Not Your Lawn Boy." Suddenly, it wasn't just my story. It was the story of every person who had ever been told they didn't belong where they rightfully stood. Karen doubled down, of course. She called 911, claiming suspicious activity at my house. But when the officers arrived, I met them at the driveway with paperwork in hand and cameras rolling. "Gentlemen," I said calmly, "you're standing on my property. I own it. She's trespassing. And she's filing false reports." The officers exchanged glances. They weren't fools. They'd seen the video. One of them, younger and visibly uncomfortable, turned to Karen and said, "Ma'am, you need to leave, right now, or you'll be cited for harassment." Karen's mouth fell open. "But I'm the HOA president." The officer didn't even blink. "And this isn't HOA land." The laughter from neighbors stung worse than any citation. She stormed off, her face twisted in rage, vowing lawsuits and revenge. But the damage was already done. Her authority had evaporated in the face of truth and 1,000 viral shares. And as I sat by the pool later that night, the water shimmering under the porch light, I realized the battle wasn't just personal anymore. It was public. The whole country was watching, and for once the narrative was on our side. That was the beginning of Karen's unraveling, though none of us could have predicted just how spectacularly she would fall. The video didn't just trend. It exploded. By the next morning, news vans lined the curb outside my home, reporters with microphones craning to catch a glimpse of the man in the pool and the HOA president gone rogue. Headlines screamed across TV and online feeds. "Pool Karen tells Mexican homeowner he doesn't belong. HOA harassment goes viral." My phone buzzed nonstop, messages from friends I hadn't heard from in years. All of them outraged but grateful the truth was finally in the open. Karen, on the other hand, reacted the only way she knew, doubling down. She staged her own press statement in front of the HOA clubhouse, complete with a podium and a badly printed banner that read, "Protect our neighborhood." She stood there, sweat dripping down her temples, declaring into the cameras that she was only enforcing safety rules, that my pool was a hazard, and that I was an unregistered tenant. She didn't realize every word she spoke was digging her hole deeper, because by then, the county clerk's office had confirmed publicly that I owned my property outright. Reporters pulled up tax records, property deeds, even a video clip of me cutting the ribbon on my newly built pool 3 summers ago with city officials present. Karen's credibility evaporated in the face of cold, hard proof. The twist came at the HOA's emergency meeting a week later. The clubhouse, usually half empty, was overflowing with angry neighbors. Cameras flashed, recording everything. Karen sat at the head table, her posture rigid, chin jutting out in defiance, but her eyes darted nervously. She started with her usual bravado. "This community has always depended on me to keep standards high," she boomed. "If we let people like Daniel flaunt the rules, our property values will plummet." But then the floor opened for public comment. One by one, neighbors stood, some trembling with rage, others with tears, all of them done being silent. Mrs. Gutierrez spoke first, her voice sharp. "You humiliated him because of his heritage. Don't deny it too, all saw the video. You don't represent safety. You represent hate." Then Mr. Delgado rose, his frail hands gripping the podium. "She told me once that my garden looked too foreign. I kept quiet. I shouldn't have. I'm not keeping quiet anymore." A young mother added, "She fined me for chalk drawings my kids made on the sidewalk. Said it was graffiti. I paid because I was scared." How much have we all paid in silence? The room thundered with agreement, a tidal wave of pent-up resentment crashing down on Karen's empire. Her face reddened, her mouth sputtering, but before she could bark back, a man I'd never seen before stepped forward from the crowd. Tall, suited, carrying a briefcase. He introduced himself with a calm voice that silenced the room. "My name is David Henson. I represent the State Attorney General's office. We've received numerous complaints about this HOA and its misuse of authority. The viral incident involving Mr. Ramirez gave us probable cause to dig deeper. And what we found is alarming." He opened the briefcase, pulling out documents. fraudulent fines, discrimination, illegal liens placed on properties. This goes far beyond one incident. It's a systemic abuse of power. The gasp that tore through the room was palpable. Karen leapt to her feet, shrieking, "Lies! Slander! I'll sue all of you!" But Henson's voice cut her down with the finality of a gavel. "Ma'am, consider this your notice. You're under investigation for harassment, misuse of funds, and discriminatory practices. Effective immediately, you're suspended from all HOA activity." Neighbors erupted in applause. Some even cheered, others hugged, their relief spilling into tears. For the first time in years, Karen's stranglehold was broken. She stormed out, her bulk heaving with every furious step, but the sight of her waddling away under the weight of her own failure was more triumphant than any gavel strike. The weeks that followed became a slow-motion collapse of everything Karen had built her power on. The state seized HOA records. Investigators uncovered thousands of dollars misused on administrative fees that led straight to Karen's personal account. She had been using neighbor dues to fund vacations, luxury furniture, even a golf cart she paraded around like a crown jewel of authority. And then came her downfall in the courtroom. I sat in the gallery with Alana and dozens of neighbors as prosecutors laid out the evidence. The video of her telling me to mow her lawn played on the big screen, the jury's faces twisting in disbelief and disgust. Witness after witness testified, from elderly widows bullied into paying false fines to young families threatened with foreclosure over imaginary code violations. Karen tried to defend herself, tried to bark at the judge, but every outburst only sealed her fate. When the verdict came, it was swift and brutal. Guilty. Guilty of harassment. Guilty of fraud. Guilty of abuse of authority. She was sentenced to repay over $200,000, barred from serving on any board or community association for life, and slapped with probation under state supervision. The woman who once strutted across lawns with a clipboard now stood trembling in handcuffs, her empire reduced to ashes. But for us, the story didn't end with her punishment, it began with our freedom. Without Karen, the neighborhood transformed. The HOA was dissolved, its funds reallocated into a community trust. Neighbors came together for the first time not under fear, but under shared humanity. We organized barbecues at my Pulmy pool, the one she had tried to take from me. Children laughed in the water while their parents grilled carne asada, tamales, hot dogs side by side. Laughter replaced fear, community replaced control. The most moving moment came during one of those gatherings, when Mr. Delgado stood with his cane raised high. We let her silence us for too long, but Daniel showed us the power of standing tall. This pool isn't just his, it's a symbol for all of us. No one gets to tell us we don't belong where we rightfully stand. Neighbors applauded, and I felt Alana slip her arm through mine, her voice soft. You turned her hate into something beautiful. That's what matters. And that's the truth of it. Karen thought she could define me with a slur, reduce me to a servant with a command. But in the end, she defined herself, and the world watched her collapse under the weight of her own arrogance. So I leave you with this question. Was justice served in Karen's downfall? Or should people who weaponize racism and false authority face even harsher consequences? Share your thoughts, because silence only feeds bullies, and every voice has the power to spark change.